Welcome to the Building Up Women in Property podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Bangura, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me today. This podcast is for ambitious women who work in property and construction, who want to learn how to have a career they love on their terms. Join me every week where I'll leave you excited and confident to take your next steps. Thanks for being here with me. Now let's get started. Hello. Today we are talking about how to find harmony at work, and specifically the power of value alignment at work. Now, this topic of values and understanding our values and aligning our values is something that many of us have heard of, or it's kind of like a peripheral idea, but something that very few people actually take the time to go deep into. And today I really want to take you on that journey and give you some prompts to really start thinking in terms of what are your values as an individual and how are they showing up for you in your life and in your work? And also, what are the values of your organization or the company that you work for? And do they align? Because when there is a disconnect between what we value as an individual and what our organization or our leaders value, that can be when work starts to feel extremely draining. It can feel very challenging. It can be when we start to see conflict and disagreement arise. So it's really important that we have this clarity for ourselves. And when we do this well, when we are clear on what we value and what we stand for and what our organization stands for, and when the two meet, that is when we find the most fulfillment and joy and excitement with our work. And that's not to say it won't be tough and challenging and stressful at times, but we will always be centered and anchored to this common vision, this common value or set of values that mean that we're always working towards something together. And that is what will actually help us stand the test of time. It is what will get us through the difficult days and the challenging projects because we're clear on the vision we're working towards and how to achieve it. So hang in with me today because I want you to really not just listen to me on this, I want you to get very clear on this for yourself. So if you can, sit down, grab a notepad and a pen and actually just work through this as we go, pausing when you need to actually take some notes and clarify some ideas in your own mind. Because doing this will create more alignment for yourself. It will make work more satisfying and enjoyable. It will also help you map out your career progression much more clearly and easily. It will help you make decisions in a more empowered and clear way. And it will allow you to build that supportive, trusting environment that makes work more enjoyable and leads to better outcomes, both for you as an individual, as an employee, but also for the organization and the people you serve through your work. Okay, so let's get started. What are values? So values are what matters to us. They are fundamental to how we live our lives. And when we are clear on our own values, they become guiding principles or beacons that support our decisions. And our values are wide-ranging. We can value authenticity, we can value status, we can value adventure or responsibility or security. There are so many different values that we can have. And of course, we are multidimensional people. We have lots of values. But what I want you to get clear on today is really articulating what are your top 3 or 5 values that drive your behavior, that motivate you. And I want you to be honest with yourself here. Don't do this based on what you think your values should be. I want you to do this on what your values actually are, what really matters to you, what drives you. And we are all unique people. We will all have a different mix of those values, and that's totally fine. And you never need to share this with anyone, but it's important for you to know, to understand this about yourself and have that greater self-awareness so that you are able to understand how these values drive your behaviors, they drive your decisions, and you can then start to make very conscious decisions that are in alignment with your values and what you want your life and your career to look like. So getting clear on these values is really important. So give yourself some time and space to really think this through. Google a list of values, see what resonates with you, jot them down, and then take some time to prioritize them. And as I said, you want to get clear on kind of what are your top 3 or 5 values that drive you as an individual. And then take a bit of time and think about your workplace, right? What are their organizational values? What are the cornerstones of the culture? What is prioritized as a business? And does what your organization say and do marry up? Are they in alignment, right? Are they practicing what they preach? And the idea is that you want to work for and be part of an organization that values similar things to you. Now, they don't need to be exactly the same, but they need to be aligned. So if you are someone who values risk-taking, working for a risk-adverse organization will be very challenging for you. And it probably won't be the environment that brings out the best in you, because fundamentally, you are a creator, you're an innovator, you're a risk-taker, you are someone who is willing to try things and explore ideas, whereas a risk-adverse organization will always keep you playing small and stuck within the confines of what's already known. Whereas if you are a risk taker who works within an organization that values risk taking, you will thrive. You will find your natural rhythm. You will share ideas. Your creativity will blossom. And you'll be surrounded by like-minded people who respect your work. They respect your ideas. Even if they don't get it right all the time, they respect the process and they see the value in what you do and what you bring as an individual. And they see the value of what you bring as an individual to the organization. And when we have that fit, things just flow, right? Things become easier. You will naturally enjoy your job more. There'll be that sense of satisfaction in your work. There will be that motivation that drives you and a high level of engagement. And it will really bring purpose to what you do. And I think for most of us, that is what we really crave. We crave knowing that our work is important and it's seen and it's valued and it contributes in a positive way. And I know that not everyone is driven by wanting to do fulfilling work. I know that for some people, they're happy just to go and do their job, take their paycheck and return home. But the fact you're listening to this podcast, I'm guessing you're not one of those people. I'm guessing you're someone that really is striving for excellence in what you do. And the truth is, you can be brilliant at what you do, but if you are in the wrong environment, you will never reach your full potential. Because we need people to be great, but we also need to give them the tools and the environment and the support where they can really shine, where they can thrive and really be able to reach their potential. And when you are working at that higher level where you are doing things that you're passionate about and enjoy and that bring out the best in you, that is when you really have that congruence in your own life. That is when you can show up as yourself. Your authenticity shines because you feel comfortable being your genuine self, being authentic at work. And that improves your well-being and allows for more openness and honesty and balance within your life. And time again, I see people failing to see the importance of value alignment in order to allow us to enjoy our work, but also to bring out the best in our teams and in our organizations.
I hope you've been enjoying the episode. I wanted to take a moment to let you know about my free Career Confidence Masterclass. This is for ambitious career-orientated women who are ready to stop playing small and to confidently create a career you love. Head over to my website, beautifuldisruptions.com, for more info. Now let's get back to the episode.
When we can talk about our individual values as well as the values of an organization, we create a common language and a common understanding of what we are all working towards and that shared purpose that improves communication and improves collaboration. And it really encourages that diverse and inclusive workplace where we can all show up as the people we genuinely are and the people we want to be in a way that feels safe and secure and brings out the absolute best in us. And I was recently just talking to a client of mine, and she's looking to step up as a director in her firm where she's been for a number of years. And we were talking about that opportunity and what it's going to take to make that progression. But through the course of the conversation, what became very clear is fundamentally there is a misalignment of her values and the organizational values. So what she thinks is important is not necessarily seen as important by the other directors and partners of the business. And this can be a really hard realization to make. And what I see happen time and time again is that I see these amazing, capable, brilliant women who've been in an organization for a while who suddenly get to a point where they realize there is a mismatch in the values. And this happens, right? This happens as we grow as individuals, as our own values shift. And as the organization takes a new direction with different leadership or different innovations within the market. So it is natural that our values evolve on both sides. And it can get to a point where you can suddenly realize that this is not where you want to be as an employee anymore. And it's not because you work with bad people or the job is bad in and of itself, but it's suddenly that you no longer fit well. And this is often a reason I see women get the promotion. And this is what I was talking through with my client. When she gets this promotion, will it solve all of the challenges she has at work? Will she suddenly feel happier? Like, is the pain point at the moment just around the promotion, or is the pain point around this misalignment of values? And we concluded it was probably both, but getting the promotion would not solve the value misalignment. The only way to solve that is to have, firstly, a really open conversation and see if there is perhaps a middle ground between the two, or a better understanding that you can each have of what you bring and what the organization needs and values. Or it's about finding a place where you can thrive, where you can be your genuine self, and that will bring value to the organization, and that will be really nurtured and supported, within that environment. And when we see that good fit, that is when opportunities open up. People want to invest in your career. They want to support your trajectory. We see a lot more recognition and appreciation and acknowledgement of the good work that's being done. And it really builds this community and this sense of trust and credibility within the workplace that I think we all really strive to have, to be recognized and to be seen and to be valued for our contribution. And when we have this alignment, it makes decision-making much easier. We have a much clearer understanding of what is acceptable behavior and what isn't. And we know that everyone is held to that same standard. There is that common understanding of what we are here to achieve, how we go about doing things, what behaviors are accepted. And again, that creates a much nicer workplace for us, one where we feel like we can show up and be ourselves and have integrity with the work we do, and know and expect the same from our peers and our leadership as well. So I want you to think this through. Have some fun with this exercise, right? There is no right and wrong with this, but it's about increasing your awareness of yourself and what matters to you, but also what matters to your organization. And then doing that sense check of, do the two things align? Or is there some fundamental issues or some fundamental clashes in terms of the two propositions? And if so, how can you look at overcoming them? And, I want you to critically evaluate this, really think about your own values as well as that of your organization. And if there is an incongruence or things aren't aligned, then take that next step. Then have the conversation with your team or your boss or your leadership. And one of the common challenges I see is that organizations have certain values, but they are not actually being consistently displayed or demonstrated within the organization. So we can have what's, written on the brochure or the website, but in practice, the reality is very different from that. And so we need to be able to have conversations with our managers, with our teams, with our leaders that center back on these values and have these values as the standard that we operate to. And I know that this can be a really challenging conversation when there is a disconnect in the theory versus the reality. And I really invite you to have these conversations. And whilst I know that these conversations can be tough, I want you to show up as that best version of you, that person who's truly aligned with your values, and be willing to have those hard conversations at times, because sometimes people just aren't even aware of the disconnect either within the organization or between you and the organizational values. And I think once we can have open, honest conversations around these things, the more opportunity there is to come together and align. And finally, this is so important when you are considering that next job opportunity, right? You want to make sure that you go into an organization with eyes wide open. So ask these questions about values as part of your interview process. Speak to other people that already work in this organization. See how well the organization actually embodies these values, or whether it's lip service. Because as I said before, you can get the promotion, you can get the new role, but if you are working in an organization that doesn't feel aligned, it will feel like a slog. And we spend so much of our lives at work and we want to do a great job, but we need to make sure we are in an environment that really allows and nurtures us as individuals and brings out the best in us so that we can really deliver at that higher level. So don't be scared of having the values conversation, but get clear on your own values. Take that time to really think about what matters to you most and why, and think about what areas of your career are really impacted by this value and explore how you can start to align your life more so that your actions are in alignment with your core values. I love hearing your insights, so please feel free to come over and connect with me on LinkedIn and share your values with me. Let me know where you're at. And if you're struggling with articulating your values, then reach out as well and I'll happily share some prompts to give you a bit of support to get you thinking more on that process. Until next time, have a beautiful day.
Thank you for joining me on the Building Up Women in Property podcast. I'm Rebecca Bangura, and if you'd like to learn more about what I do, head over to LinkedIn and connect with me. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.